Take a moment and look around you. Your phone, your laptop, your smartwatch, the classroom projector, the cloud backup running quietly in the background. Every one of these depends on something so deeply embedded in our lives that we rarely stop to question it: the internet. But here's the twist: the internet was never designed for selfies, it wasn't built for streaming movies, and it definitely wasn't created for social media arguments at 2 in the morning. The internet was born from fear: fear of war, fear of silence, fear that in a single moment the world's communication system will be wiped out. And from that fear came one of the most transformative technologies in human history. Today on Technology Tap, we're telling the story of how the internet began, how it evolved, and how it quickly reshaped civilization itself. The story begins not in Silicon Valley, but in the shadow of the Cold War. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. To the United States, this wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a warning. If the Soviets could put a satellite into orbit, they could potentially deliver weapons across continents. In response, the US government created the Advanced Research Project Agency, or ARP. Its mission was simple and terrifying: make sure that the United States would never lose communication, even in the event of a nuclear war. At the time, communication networks were fragile. They rely on circuit switching, direct and continuous connection. Cut one line and the message was dead. Then came a revolutionary idea. What if the messages didn't travel as one continuous stream? What if they were broken up into pieces, sent independently, and then reassembled at the destination? That idea was called packet switching, and it would change everything. By the late 1960s, ARP founded a project to test this radical new approach. It was called ARPANET. In 1969, 4 computers were connected: UCLA, Stanford Research Institute, UC Santa Barbara, and the University of Utah. On October 29th, researchers attempted to send the first signal. They tried to type the word login. The system crashed after the first 2 letters. The first message ever sent over the internet? LO. Even in failure, history was made. ARPANET proved that packet switching worked. And more importantly, it proved something else. A network didn't have to be centralized to survive. If one path failed, the data would find another. Survivability was no longer physical, it was logical. In the early 1970s, something unexpected happened. Researchers started using ARPANET, not just for computing, but to talk to each other. In 1971, Ray Thompson sent the first email, and he chose the @ symbol almost at random. That single decision will become one of the most recognizable symbols on Earth. As network grew, a bigger problem emerged. Different networks couldn't talk to each other. The solution came in the form of TCP/IP, developed by Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn. TCP/IP became the universal language of network. On January 1st, 1983, ARPANET officially switched to TCP/IP. That moment is often called the true birth of the internet. A network of networks was now possible. Throughout the 1980s, the internet expanded beyond the military. Universities connected, research labs joined, scientists shared data at unprecedented speed. Still, the internet wasn't public. It was text-based, command line driven, and completely inaccessible to everyday users. Then in 1989, a physicist working at CERN changed everything. His name was Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee wasn't trying to invent the internet. He was trying to solve a documentation problem. Scientists needed a better way to share information. His solution introduced 3 core technologies: HTML, HTTP, and URLs. Together, they formed the World Wide Web. This is a crucial distinction. The internet is the infrastructure. The web is what made it usable. In 1983, the Mosaic browser launched. For the first time, people could click links, view images, navigate information visually. The internet exploded. By the mid 1990s, AOL mailed CDs to millions of homes. Dial-up modems screeched their way into the living rooms. Families argued over phone lines being busy. The internet was no longer academic. It was personal. Money followed curiosity. Startup promised to reinvent shopping, media, communications, business. Anything with a .com attracted investors. The .com boom reshaped the economy and then it collapsed. By 2000, many companies failed overnight, but the infrastructure remained. Fiber lines were laid, data centers were built, the foundation was set. The internet didn't disappear. But by the 2000s, dial-up had faded. Broadband arrived. Cable and DSL made the internet faster, always connected, more reliable. Wi-Fi cut the cord entirely. Then in 2007, Apple released the iPhone. The internet was no longer a place you visited. It became something you carried. Social media platforms reshaped identity. YouTube transformed video. Netflix shifted entertainment. The internet became a living system. In the 2010s, the internet disappeared from view. Data flowed into the cloud. Files no longer live on devices. Applications ran on remote servers. Entire businesses operated without physical office. The internet became utility, infrastructure, civilization backbone. At the same time, risks grew. Cybercrime, surveillance, data breach, misinformation. The internet had become powerful and dangerous. Today, the internet powers education, healthcare, finance, government, artificial intelligence. It connects billions and divides them too. The next era will be shaped by AI, quantum networking, zero trust security, global regulation, ethical design. The internet is no longer just technology. It is society itself. The internet began as a military experiment, a system designed to survive catastrophe. And in doing so, it transformed how humans communicate, learn, work, and remember. Every packet that moves across the network today carries with it a legacy of the original idea, that information should find a way. I'm Professor J. Rod, and this has been Technology Tap. You can find the full version of this episode on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And as always, stay curious, stay connected, and keep tapping into technology.